Oh my god, that went so much worse than I thought it would. It was just supposed to be like a quick one, you know? Okay. So, this is roughly my experience with social anxiety and how I got to the point that I am now. I'm not like done with it. I haven't gotten rid of it completely, but I would like to say that I've definitely improved drastically. You know, I wrote down my thoughts, like I did a little, because I can't wing this shit. Like, I tried, and those videos weren't that good. Um, so, getting to the point, I used to have really, really bad social anxiety. Like, when I was in a large crowd, I'm not even gonna read that. When I was in a large crowd, it felt like everything just started crumbling. Like, I lost all strength within my body. I couldn't lift my arms. I couldn't move. Every thought came super fast at me, but I couldn't even process what they were because another one would come right after it. My legs just stopped working. It felt like they were made out of cement, or almost as if like somebody was grabbing onto them and not letting me move. It's like I'm fighting my reflection in my head. I don't know if that makes sense. Right? Like, it's all just so much. Like, it felt like my throat was closing, like somebody was choking me, but from the inside of my throat, I couldn't speak, I couldn't breathe, I couldn't talk. It was so much all at the same time. It felt like that desperation that you have when you're like in water and you hold your breath for a little too long and you're like really fucking, you know? Like that almost expanding feeling, you know? Um, or if not, it would be like constantly in the background. Like when you're in a dark room and you think too much and now you feel like something's watching you, and it's not doing anything. It's just watching you, like it's right there. It's not doing anything, but it's not leaving. Um and it's just constantly following you, kind of like that ringing in your ear that everybody has cuz we all have fucked up ears now. Um or if not, it just felt like my heart was pounding so fast, nonstop, and like I couldn't show it. Um and like a whole lot of other things. But I'm not gonna dive into that because if I do, then this video is gonna be way too long, right? And I had, I guess my first experience with social anxiety was when I was around like honestly 5. Um, the ice cream man came and he asked me what I wanted, and I I couldn't say anything. I just stared at him. So he just said okay, and he left. But that's the first time that I got frozen, and it just kind of followed me nonstop up until maybe a year ago or two. Um, and that's when all the drastic changes were. And this honestly really, really sucked to deal with. My friends would do things that were fun, and I wanted to do them too, but it was really hard for me to. It's not like I didn't do them. I was able to put on a face, for a good while. I was able to pretend like it wasn't there and still do it, but it wasn't like I didn't feel it. Um, and I still feel that like that sometimes now, but I've definitely gotten better at managing it. Um, it led me to missing out on a lot of experiences that I wish I would have had when I was younger. You know, um, it just it got in the way so much. And I guess my clarity, like my moment of clarity, would be one day I was having another panic attack at like a little festival because I lost my group. I was hanging out with a friend of group, like a friend of groups. No, wait, you know what I'm trying to say. Um, and I lost them, and it felt like it just sucked. It really, really, really just it sucked, right? And it came to me as I was looking around. nobody was paying attention to me. And not in a negative way, you know? But I realized that nobody was looking at me. And I saw my reflection in like one of those carnival mirrors. I looked terrified. I looked horrible. But nobody was looking at me. And then I thought to myself, what if everybody else feels the exact same way that I do? Because I mean, I knew that other people dealt with anxiety and things like that the way same way that I did, but I guess it just never clicked that they feel it too, you know? And after that, it kind of developed into this thought of everybody is very self-centered. Not selfish, not like in a negative manner, but we're all just very self-centered. We don't pay attention to the outside. And what I mean by that is I didn't like my jacket today. I didn't like my jacket. I hate it. It's the wrong color. But somebody else put on the wrong shoes because they were late. And somebody else is focusing on the fact that they just got their braces and they think that everybody's looking at the braces. Somebody else has a massive pimple on their forehead and that's all they can think about, right? And I realized everybody is so focused on the way that they are perceived that they don't really pay attention to everybody else. And that's when I realized that not everybody was looking at me all the time. And it kind of sprung this curiosity in me. It's not like a big change, like all of a sudden. It was very, very slow. But I started experimenting with what it would take to get somebody to notice. And I really, I'm going to be honest, I felt so uncomfortable doing this, but I wanted to see where it went. It genuinely, just the curiosity carried this entire project, right? And I started dropping pencils. I dropped one pencil in my class and I wanted to see who noticed. Nobody did. So I was like, okay, I have another one. So I dropped that one too. Not a single, like, nobody batted an eye. I kept on dropping pencils until I got to like number 23 or something, and somebody was like, and they just continued with their work. They looked at me and then just continued with their work. They're like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Anyways, right? And I kept on taking it further and further and further. Um, and as I did this, I noticed that like my confidence started boosting. Um, but it wasn't. That's not the entire thing that I did. Um, but the experiments were the beginning of everything, right? And then at the same time, I would practice with getting out of my comfort zone on my own, not like completely in private. Nobody was else was in the room. Like I would just see something that made me feel awkward, like say something very far out of my comfort zone, like yoga. You know, downward dog feels really awkward until you get used to it. And I just stretched for a little in my room, and it felt so weird, almost gross to do because it was like, oh my God, why am I doing this? It's so embarrassing. And I kept on experimenting and pushing myself out of my comfort zone in my own privacy that it got a little bit easier to do publicly. That's what helped me with the experiments of like seeing how I can get people's attention, like or like how long it took to get their attention. Um, and with all this, I always had these constant thoughts running through my head, like, what if this doesn't work? What if this is a failure? What if everybody's still looking at me? What if I don't get better? And it just never stopped. And I saw a quote somewhere or something. I saw something. I wouldn't call it a quote, right? But I saw something, and it said something along the lines of, "You have thousands and thousands of thoughts a day. How are you supposed to choose one to focus on?" And I thought about it, and I was like, I think about so many things that I do wrong every day, but I also think about things that I like, you know? I'll go outside and I'll be like, wow, this outfit sucks, but then I'll be like, the sun is nice though. And I very quickly realized that I was almost focusing or choosing to focus on all of my much more negative thoughts, whether it was willingly, unwillingly, subconsciously, I don't know. But I just began noticing. And then I saw this one experiment, or not this one experiment, this one thing, and it fascinated me. Don't think of an elephant. Don't think of an elephant. Don't do it, right? And I mean, unless you're somebody special and crazy or something, most likely you thought of an elephant. The human brain cannot comprehend the word no, right? But it also kind of gave me this realization that the human brain is also very selective. You know, it chose to think of an elephant. The same way I say don't think of a kangaroo, or I say name every single red thing in your room. And after you count it up, how many blue things did you see? You didn't really notice the blue things. What about the green things? Actually, you forgot about the brown things. How many brown things were there in your room? You didn't notice. You didn't even count them. You didn't pay attention. You counted, oh, 13 red things, right? And I started to see that I was very almost selective with my thought pattern. That thinking positively felt uncomfortable, that I was in this constant state of melancholy, that I was comfortable within my discomfort. I found the anxiety and the sadness to be extremely familiar. And that's one thing that stunted my growth. But after I kept on playing with all these concepts, and I started really small. I really did. I started so small. I couldn't even ask for a pencil. I don't ask me to ask for food at a driveway. That that sucked. That really sucked. I can't remember what I did, but I started with every single thing, small thing I can imagine. I got embarrassed grabbing a cup in my kitchen and filling it up with water so I could drink, you know? So I began trying to do that. And now I realize that people judge you, but it doesn't really matter. At least to a certain point, it doesn't matter, right? I wanted to prove this point one time, so I started doing an Irish jig in the middle of one of my classes. And I don't know how to do one. I don't know how to do an Irish jig. I'm really bad at it. But people, like, it was funny because people started going, hey, hey, hey. And, like, somebody started clapping and somebody else played Irish music. I don't know who these people are, right? It was only me and two of my other friends, right? And then after that, when I stopped, they just went back to their lives, like as if nothing happened. And I continue to push this every day to see just how far it can go. And I realized the freedom that I have with it. I was limiting myself so much in life due to my own fears and my own struggles. Not even people telling me. I'm lucky enough to have people that actually believe in me. I'm lucky enough to have people that tell me that I can do things. My biggest issue was myself and my own mind. Um, and I got really tired of limiting myself every day and being in my own way. And I get really sad when I see other people in their own way because you see the look in their face. You see that they want to do it, but they just can't. And I can't help but feel bad and want to help them because I remember what it was like. And in all honesty, for me, it sucked. I hated it. And now I push myself as far out of my comfort zone as I can every day, at least to the extent that I have within that day. Obviously, you know, I still hold back every now and then, but with all these larger projects and everything, I feel like I'm really putting in myself in a position where I have to grow. And I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this process of having to grow, having to learn faster, having to understand larger concepts. Um, and also setting an example. one thing that I've began to do to try to help people feel comfortable and welcome is being open and welcoming. And by that I mean to everything. Like if there was a question in the class and nobody would answer, I really try to be the first person to raise their hand, even if I have no idea what to ask. Um, there's many days where I don't do it, many days where I stay silent, and it's like this constant fight that I'm doing, but really every time that I think about it, I'm growing because I'm thinking about it. I'm considering it. But I can't let myself get stuck in the loop of constant consideration. I can't wait for the perfect time because the perfect time doesn't exist. The perfect time is now, today, right now. You don't have any other time to start acting. Um, you really don't have the time to wait for action. We only have a certain amount of time. And even if like you believe in things beyond this life, what's stopping you from living this one to the fullest? You know? Even if you believe in like a higher purpose or something like that, I say you should still try to enjoy this one as much as you can. Because shit, I'm not even talking about heaven, but say like our energy gets reused and I turn into a cat and I still remember my human life or some shit. I would honestly be kind of sad if I looked back on my human life and I let myself get in my own way so many times. I'm not trying to shame anybody, but that's just my thought for my own life. You can choose what you do with your life, but you have to start doing it now. Live your life now. Take action. Nobody else is going to do it for you. Anyways, let me know how I did. I'm not going to look this video over, even though I probably should. Uh, everything that you've heard today, I want you to take the parts that you like. If there's some parts that you didn't like, some parts that you don't want to try, or anything that you don't want to do, you do not have to take it. You have that choice. I just want you to take the best of what you hear, or if you hear something and you think you can do better, do it. I don't know everything. I'm not I'm not that guy. But I very strongly believe that you should take every positive piece that you enjoy of everything in your life and use it. Every single piece of everything. So if you like my energy, take some of it. If you like somebody else's energy, take it. If you like somebody else's confidence, copy it. Fake it till you make it. That is my best thing that I can offer. Fake it till you make it. Except you have to fully commit to faking it. You can't just half-ass it. I guess a good example would be like, do you think that the people who acted in Twilight were comfortable? Like in that movie? Because to me it seems really fucking awkward, right? But if they didn't fully commit to those roles, it would be so much worse. I was thinking about that today in the shower. Anyways, I've been talking for too long. So, I love you all. I'm gonna go to sleep. Good night.